Okay, we're still on Math 20, Section 4.5 on scaling. We were talking about what the effects are for area when you mess around with the length and the width, in this particular case of a rectangle. What happens to the volume? Well, volume is equal to length times width times height. So if I were to do the same thing and compare the volumes over here, let's assume that I've got a width and I've got a length. Let's assume that I have a height of, let's make it pretty simple, 4 inches, 4 inches. And I go ahead and find the volume of that. Well, that's just going to be length times width times height. So volume is equal to 2 times 3, which is 6, times 4, which is 24. So I get 24 what? 24 cubic inches. And the reason it's cubic is because I'm multiplying inches by inches by inches. And I have 3 of those guys. Now, let's see what happens when not only do I double the width and the length, but I also double the height. So now I have 8 inches for my height over here. So now it's 4 times 6 times 8. Well, let's see. 4 times 6 is 24, and times 8, that's 32. Carry your 3, 192. 192 cubic inches. And if I compare these two, you'll see that this guy here is 8 times him. 24 times 8. 8 times 4 is 32. Carry your 3. 8 times 2 is 16, plus the 3 is 192. Well, then that all just comes from doubling, But that's because it's double here, double here, double here. That's double 3 times. And doubling 3 times is multiplying by 8. Let's take a look at this example. Shelly's going to order some concrete for her new driveway, and she measures and finds the length of the driveway is 22 feet long. The width is 12 feet wide, and the depth is 6 inches. Now, this is something important for you to note. Look at these dimensions here are in feet, and then all of a sudden we got some inches in there. So we're going to have to be careful with that. And then to make things even worse, it says concrete is delivered in cubic yards. How many cubic yards is she going to need? Well, let's just follow through with what I have outlined in the notes, and we'll figure this out. So draw a picture. Well, I already have a picture on the other page. Notice that the units are in feet and inches. We want to end up in cubic yards, and we could use unit analysis for this job. Unit analysis meaning that dimensional analysis chain that we had talked about before. So let's take a look at that. So I'm interested in volume. And I have a decision to make on here. I can either change everything so that it's in feet, or I can change everything so that it's in inches. Well, I think the smart thing to do is to go ahead and take these 6 inches and change it to feet. 6 inches is a half a foot. And what I can do is I can use a decimal or I can use a fraction. It doesn't make any difference. I'm just going to use a decimal. Why not? So 6 inches is equal to the same as 0.5 feet. So I'm going to find the volume of this. So I have volume is equal to, now remember we said length times width times height for a rectangular prism. So it's going to be 22 times 12. 22 times 12 times 0.05. And I might say, well, Kathy, how come you went ahead and put that in parentheses? And it's because I have multiplication signs here and a decimal point here. And I'm going to get my calculator out. And we'll multiply this together. So I have 22 times 12 times 0.05. Oh, that's the wrong number, isn't it? It should be 0.5, not 0.05. 0.5. And let's go back and delete that. 0.5. Okay, so I get volume is equal to 132 cubic feet. Cubic feet. Feet times feet times feet. And now I'm going to go ahead and change this to cubic yards. Well, I'm going to have to know the relationship between cubic feet and cubic yards. And if you were given a table, it would indeed be there. 1 cubic yard is equal to 27 cubic feet. And if you think about that, here's a cubic yard, and there's 3 feet, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot, and 3 feet this way, 1 foot, 1 foot, 1 foot. It's not very pretty, is it? So there's 3 feet, there's 3 feet, and so on. And if we were to count all these little blocks in there, we would end up with 27 cubic feet in 1 cubic yard. So this is what I'm starting with, 132 cubic feet. I'm going to make that look like a fraction by putting it over 1. And I'm going to use this relationship. Well, who goes on the bottom and who goes on the top? Well, feet are on the top here, so these feet have to be on the bottom here. And then my cubic yards. Once you know the position of the units, then you just stick in the numbers. So I have a 27 over here and a 1 over here. And now it's just multiplication. So I have 132 times 1 is 132. I already have that in my calculator, so I'm just going to let it sit there, and I'm going to divide that by 27. So I end up with 4.888. I always like taking it out 4 places, and then let's give a common sense answer. You're not going to be able to call Knife River and ask them for 4.8888 cubic yards. That's how many you want. No, you're gonna, the smart thing to do, of course, would be to round up, not round down, you'd run short. Round up to 5 cubic yards. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop this video, and then we'll continue on with the examples.